Hi, children. We stopped the first audio of the lesson packing, where the narrator Jerome completed packing the suitcase, and George and Harris suggested that they will pack the hampers and how they started. They had just started packing it. We'll continue now. And then it was George's turn, and he trod on the butter. Trod on means stepped on. I didn't say anything, but I came over and sat on the edge of the table and watched them. It irritated them more than anything I could have said. What? That the authors were sitting at the edge of the table and watching. I felt that. It made them nervous and excited. Naturally, right? When somebody is watching you, watching each and everything that you do, you feel a bit nervous. And they stepped, and the result of that was, and they stepped on things and put things behind them and then couldn't find them when they wanted them. And they packed the pies at the bottom and put heavy things on top and smashed the pies in. So this was the effect of that the author was sitting and watching them. They got nervous and they did all this. They upset salt over everything. And as for the butter, I never saw two men do more with one and two pence worth of butter in my whole life than they did. Pence is the plural of the word penny, the money, coin. After George had got it off his slipper, they tried to put it in the kettle. What is it? What is it? What are they talking about? Butter. First they got it. Where was it? On George's slipper. And they tried to put it in the kettle. It wouldn't go in. And what was in wouldn't come out. They did scrape it out at last and put it down on a chair. And Harris sat on it and it stuck to him. And they went looking for it all over the room. So if you want to appreciate this lesson and the humor element in it, you have to visualize what happens. They're busy packing, what happens? The butter stuck on Harris' back and they kept on searching for it. I'll take my oath I put it down on that chair, said George, staring at the empty seat. I saw you do it myself not a minute ago, said Harris. Then they started round the room again looking for it. And then they met again in the center and stared at one another. Maybe the author saw all this, but he didn't utter a word. Most extraordinary thing I ever heard of, said George. So mysterious, said Harris. Then George got round at the back of Harris and saw it. Why, here it is all the time, he exclaimed indignantly. Indignantly means angrily. Where? Cried Harris, spinning round. Stand still, can't you? Roared George, flying after him. And they got it off and packed it in the teapot. Montmorency was in it all, of course. Montmorency's ambition in life is to get in the way and be sworn at. Now, who is Montmorency? Suddenly a character appears in the lesson. It is their dog. Okay, so the dog has his role also. Montmorency was in it all, of course. Montmorency's ambition in life is to get in the way and be sworn at. Look at that. His ambition in life is that. To get in, meddle with things, to get in the way and be sworn at. Be sworn at here, it means get scolded. The actual meaning is use abusive language against someone. If he can squirm in anywhere where he particularly is not wanted and be a perfect nuisance and make people mad and have things thrown at his head, then he feels his day has not been wasted. So you get a picture of the pet dog there, right? What sort of a dog Montmorency is? Is he very obedient or very naughty? Okay, so it definitely gives the picture of a very naughty dog. To get somebody to stumble over him and curse him steadily for an hour is his highest aim and object. And when he has succeeded in accomplishing this, his conceit becomes quite unbearable. He feels so proud, understand, when he has made others angry and shout at him. He came and sat down on things just when they were wanted to be packed. And he labored under the fixed belief that whenever Harris or George reached out their hand for anything, it was his cold, damp nose that they wanted. He put his leg into the jam and he worried the teaspoons. Worried here means disturbed. And he pretended that the lemons were rats and got into the hamper and killed 3 of them before Harris could land him with a frying pan. Harris said I encouraged him. Now, the whole blame was on the narrator that he encouraged Montmorency to do all this. I didn't encourage him. A dog like that doesn't want any encouragement. It is a natural, original sin that is born in him that makes him do things like that. The packing was done at 12:50, and Harris sat on the big hamper and said he hoped nothing would be found broken. George said that if anything was broken, it was broken, which reflection seemed to comfort him. This also we all sometimes do, right? We have taken so much effort to do something. Finally, we say, if at all something more, let it be like that. Now I'm not going to be bothered about it. The same attitude. He also said he was ready for bed. We were all ready for bed. Harris was to sleep with us that night, and we went upstairs. We tossed for beds, and Harris had to sleep with me, he said. Do you prefer the inside or the outside, Jay? I said I generally prefer to sleep inside a bed. Harris said it was odd. George said, What time shall I wake you fellows? Harris said, 7. I said, No, 6, because I wanted to write some letters. Harris and I had a bit of a row over it, that is, an argument. But at last split the difference and said 6:30. Split the difference, look at the meaning. This means that they agreed at 6:30 because it was halfway between 6 and 7. So they decided, okay, 6:30. Wake up at 6:30, George, we said. George made no answer, and we found on going over that he had been asleep for some time. So he was already asleep. So he didn't listen. He didn't hear the time. So we placed the bath where he could tumble into it on getting out in the morning and went to bed ourselves. So that is a story. Hope you understood. Thank you.